How to Write in 5th Grade, Volume 1 of 11. Copyright 2014, Luke Sullivan. An informational prompt. Think about and explain why it's important to follow rules. Time needed, 3 days of 45 minutes. Materials needed: lined paper, informational worksheet graphic organizer, class writing paper. Common Core standards addressed: 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D, 2E, 4, 5, and 10. Background. First, narrative, persuasive, and informational writings have predictable structures. As readers, we've internalized the organizing framework of the books we have read. We've learned to recognize these three forms of writing. We do this on a subconscious level. Most people are not aware that they know these forms. When we read something that doesn't follow the predicted structure, we sense something is wrong. Our reading experience stumbles. This is especially true for young readers. Successful writing requires that we follow these predictable structures. This not only enables us to write our thoughts clearly and logically, but more importantly, makes it easier for others to read and comprehend our writing. Second, successful writers do not begin with a blank page. Instead, they use graphic organizers and templates to create elements that are assembled into writings. The final step for a first draft is an assembly process of elements into the predictable structures outlined above. In grades 2, 3, and 4, students are still early readers. The dominant reading structure they are taught with is a narrative. So it's important that their first writings are narratives. In grade 5 and above, students use reading to learn. When reading ability is assumed, the dominant reading structure students are taught with is informational text. So it is important that their first writings are also informational structures. This is an example of an informational structure. It begins with a specific topic. The topic is divided into 3 or 4 big ideas. Each big idea is developed. Everything is summarized at the end. This structure is used to give information, explain, describe, show how to. It is the most important structure and the one most used in high school and college. With informational structures, your goal is to act as a presenter. You try to do it objectively without taking a position. This year's first 3 writing prompts will use an informational structure. The first informational writing prompt is: think about and explain why it is important to follow rules. The words think and explain indicate an informational structure is needed. Begin with a lined paper. You're going to brainstorm ideas that are related to rules. Later, I will choose 3 that I'll turn into paragraphs. You write your own list. Remember to use fragments without spending time developing the ideas. It's important to point out that big ideas are not the same thing as reasons. Some of the items on my list are reasons why it's important to follow the rules, but some are not. Look at the history of rules, or Red Riding Hood. Both of those can be developed into paragraphs explaining why it's important to follow rules, but they're not really reasons. Pick out 3 big ideas that you'd like to develop into paragraphs. Write your name on an information worksheet. At the top is a place for you to write the topic of your essay. The specific topic is, it is important to follow rules. You will start off with a general statement that is so vague everyone will agree with it. Then you lead your reader down to your specific topic. Sometimes people call this specific statement your thesis statement. Where it says Big Idea 1, write down one of your ideas. Where it says Big Idea 2, write the second of your ideas. Finally, write your third idea on the line for Big Idea 3. As you develop your big ideas into paragraphs, you will use facts, details, reasons, explanations, examples, stories. My big idea, fairness, could be developed into a paragraph using explanations and examples to make it more clear. Games have rules to keep them fair is my explanation. Then I use kickball as a specific example to make it more clear for my reader. I write down phrases that will prompt my thinking later when I write out my paragraph. Here's what my paragraph would look like. Here are some of the phrases I wrote down for my big idea about the history of rules. Here's how they're turned into a paragraph. Complete your informational worksheet with phrases and fragments that you'll later turn into paragraphs. Last time, we brainstormed big ideas on why it's important to follow rules. For each of the big ideas, we wrote down phrases that would act as prompts later when we write our paragraph. We saw that we can use all kinds of writing elements: reasons, explanations, examples, descriptive details, and stories. Take a piece of the class writing paper. Write your name and date. On the left of the page, we'll put the writing skills I'll insist you have in your essay. The first writing skill is 3 big ideas. The second writing skill is 3 developed paragraphs. The third writing skill is writing incomplete sentences. This includes using capital letters, ending punctuation marks, and no fragments. The first paragraph in your essay needs to signal your topic. When you were younger, you might have written, "It's important to follow the rules. Let me tell you why." This would be enough to let your reader know your topic. But we can do better. Notice the top part of your graphic organizer is an upside-down triangle. It begins with a wide section and then moves to a sharp point. It is labeled General, showing that you should begin with sentences that are broad generalizations. These are statements that will introduce the topic. Then, as you move to the bottom of the triangle, you become very specific and state the specific point you want to make in your essay. The first sentence is my general statement. I am faced with lots of rules. It's a big concept, so the reader doesn't really know what you're talking about. The next sentences begin to tell more about the topic. The last sentences are precise and assume a definite position, and they say what you'll do in your essay. Now you write a paragraph to introduce your essay. Start with a broad statement about decisions or rules. make sure your last sentence quotes from the prompt. The second paragraph is where you introduce your first big idea. You want to include the big idea in the first sentence. The first sentence of a paragraph signals to your reader what the paragraph is about. This is called a topic sentence. The topic of this paragraph is fairness, so I'll make sure I use the word fairness in my first sentence. I'll also use organizing words to point out that this is my first idea and that others will be coming. Now use the phrases from your informational worksheet that you wrote under your big idea. These phrases will help you write sentences as you develop your paragraph. You write your paragraph for big idea number 1. Now use your work from your information worksheet for big idea number 2. Use the phrases to develop a paragraph about your big idea. Remember to include the big idea in the first sentence. Use organizing words to link the paragraphs together. Also, repeat the process for big idea number 3. In our first class, we completed an information worksheet about why it is important to follow rules. Last time, we used this information to develop paragraphs. Today we're going to write the last paragraph. This is a summary and so what paragraph. The closing paragraph has to do 3 things. First, it must signal to the reader that your essay is done. Second, it needs to remind the reader what your big ideas were. And third, you need to connect your ideas to the rest of the world. You want the reader to continue to think about your essay after they are done reading. In sentence number 1, use words that signal that you're done your essay. Then, summarize your 3 big ideas in 1 sentence. The last few sentences need to prompt the reader to continue to think about your essay. The easiest and youngest way is to say, "What do you think?" That could work for a young writer, but not for you. Now you write a summary and so what paragraph. Go back to the top and read your essay to yourself using a 1-foot voice. Does it make sense? Are there sentences that are not complete thoughts? If a sentence is confusing, fix it. Go back to the top of your paper at the Writing Skills section. Did you give 3 big ideas all related to your topic sentence? Did you develop 3 paragraphs using the phrases from your informational worksheet? Did you write in complete sentences? Is all your punctuation correct? Are all your words spelled correctly? Good job.